Now let's wrap up writing the date E7 class, doing some operator overloaded public methods. I'll start with the plus method. This method, plus, is what gets called for an expression of the form a plus b. We're interested in implementing the right thing for adding an integer to a date E7 object. So we'll assume that the first argument is a date E7 object and the second argument is an integer. There's some checking to make sure that's the case, and then we simply make a call to the private date addN method, which adds integers to dates to return a date. So really this is exactly the same as the date addN method, but it's public and it works. In other words, it's called with the plus operator. Next one is the greater than or equal relational operator. This is the method that's called when you have an expression of the form a greater than or equal to b, and at least one of a or b is a date E7 object. We're interested in doing the comparison on two date E7 objects. The code I'll show assumes that. First compare the years to see if year 1 is strictly greater than year 2. Then compare the years and the months to see if the years are equal but the month is greater. And finally compare the year, months, and days to see if the years are equal and the months are equal and the days are greater than or equal. D1 being greater than or equal to D2 is equivalent to any one of those conditions being true. This logic could have also been accomplished with an if, else if conditional block, but this is an intuitive way to see what's happening. Notice that the year E7 greater than method is being called, as well as the year E7 equal methods. These comparisons here are just on doubles. Next, let's look at the minus method. This gets called for an expression of the form a minus b. We're interested in subtracting two dates to reveal the number of days separating them. It's a very easy arithmetic using the days between method for year objects, as well as the day of the year object for date objects. Lastly, let's do display. Remember that display is called automatically by Matlab when the right-hand side has no trailing semicolon and its value is, in this case, a date E7 object. So for any code which has on its right-hand side an expression which evaluates to a date E7 object, that's what I mean by that, and there's no trailing semicolon, then display will always be called passing in that right-hand side value. The exact form of display is up to the designer of the class. Here I've chosen to print out the word date E7 with a colon and a space, and then simply call the care method on this date E7 object. At this point, we've covered all the basic components of designing and writing a class. We designed its properties, a constructor, some special static methods that were useful for making the class operational, as well as some public and private methods which give it its basic functionality.